وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون الذين هم عن اللغو معرضون. صدق الله علي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات. First and foremost, I give my condolences to the Imam of our time, Jafar Sharif, and then to all of you on the occasion and the nights that we are in, the nights of remembering the shahadat of his father, our master, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi afdal salatu wassalam. And that is whether those who consider tonight one of the nights of Qadr or not. Nonetheless, these are all around those days, and we should be remembering Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. And inshallah, we will hopefully commemorate him, a worthy commemoration, inshallah, tonight. But before we mourn for Amir al-Mu'mineen, I want to continue the discussion that we began about daily insights from the last few juz of the Qur'an. And as today we recited the 18th Juz of the Qur'an, and inshallah perhaps have read the 18th dua for the day of Ramadan. So we want to kind of correlate these two to gain some insight. The verses or the chapters that we recite in the 18th Juz are Surah Al-Mu'minun, the chapter of the believers, An-Nur, and also part of Furqan. And interesting enough as well, when we make the dua for the 18th day, there are two things that stand out that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. And I think rightfully so in this moment in the blessed month of Ramadan, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the barakat al-ashar, or at least the understanding, nabbihni li barakat al-ashar, to give me truly understanding of the value and the blessings that is in the early morning, the ashar. And this is something that perhaps we may take for granted, whether we're in the blessed month of Ramadan or outside the blessed month of Ramadan. Because perhaps the only sahar that we have, the early morning that we have, may be only in Ramadan, and we get up in order to do what? To eat and drink, because, for the entire day we're not going to drink anything or eat anything. And sometimes our scope of the early morning is just that, in the blessed month of Ramadan. But outside of the blessed month of Ramadan, we may not realize the value of that sahar, that early morning. But inshallah, we'll try to shed some light on that. So that's one of the things that we ask for in the dua for the 18th day of Ramadan. We also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enlighten our hearts. وَنَوِّرْ فِيهِ قَلْبِي. So bring light into my heart, into my understanding. Because sometimes the heart, al-qalb in Arabic, it refers to our understanding. Not simply this physical mind, but again, our heart, our spirit, our soul, our intellect. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. So let's look at the first thing that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. To give us understanding. Nabbihni li barakatil ashar. And the best way to kind of understand the blessings of the early morning, that sahar, is to simply look at the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam. I can't bring all of them right now, but inshallah, at your own time, go and look for those hadith about the early mornings. You'll see that all of our ma'sumin, from Rasulullah, Fatima Zahra, Amir al-Mu'mineen, all the way to Imam Zaman, Ajfar al-Sharif, that they say that they are always up in the morning. Even Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali bin Abi Talib, alayhi wasallam, he stated, there hasn't been a morning in which the dawn of Fajr came that he was not up before that. So he was always there to greet the Fajr. Meaning that before Fajr even came in, he was there, he was awake, he was making dua, he was engaged in dua. Because this is one of the blessings of the morning sahar, that dua that you make. And even so much so, even as I mentioned the other night as well, our ulama, urafa, they stated that even just making the intentions that, Ya Allah, I'm going to get up before Fajr. Even if you get up 1 minute before Fajr, the barakat in that is amazing. If we truly understood that morning. And here we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that understanding. One of those blessings, and I'll say this, so that truly we can perhaps grasp a bit of the barakah, as we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that what is the barakah of the sahar? What the barakah of the nights of Qadr, that we're in the nights of Qadr? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? That it is a blessed night, hatta matla'il fajr. Hatta matla'il fajr. Yes, from the beginning of that night, which begins with Maghrib, but it means that up until the Fajr comes, meaning that for every moment, every second, every minute of that night, and especially at that Fajr time, right before Fajr, it is a time of barakah, it is a time of blessing. And what happens in the night of Qadr? What happens? We know the surah. The angels come down. What are they doing? They're bringing the Qadr, the destiny, the needs for the believers. In other words, that is a moment in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's answering the du'as. Even outside of the blessed month of Ramadan, it says that Sahar, this is a moment to make dua. Why is it a moment to make dua and to gain blessing? And it may not be because of ourselves, but because of that individual, that wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in our time, the time of our imam, that he's the one who's making dua in that early morning. And without doubt, his dua is being answered. And perhaps that if we are also making dua at that same time, that by the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answering his dua, that we may also have our duas accepted and answered. The barakah of Laylatul Qadr is what? That of Imam Zaman Ajfar al-Sharif. When we truly want to understand that blessing, this is what we have to understand. This is what we need to know. Even Ayatollah Sayyid Qadi Tabatabai, teacher of Ayatollah Bachad, Lama Tabatabai, teacher of many of the Urafa, he eventually got one student. There was one student that he brought onto this path. A lot of people don't know of this student. He wasn't someone who wasn't among the ulama, this and that. In fact, this individual in Najaf, he was considered to be one of the, as in Farsi they say, Lot. He was a thug. He was, a gangster. But whenever he saw Ayatollah Sayyid Qadi Tabatabai, because he lived on the same street, he would always tell Sayyid Qadi, he was like, whatever you want. It's like he respected Sayyid Qadi. He was like, whatever you want, whatever you need, just let me know. I'll make sure, and no one's going to mess, just let me know. Anything you need me to do. So one day, Sayyid Qadi, he told me, he says, okay, you'll do anything that I ask you to do. He says, yeah, whatever you need me to do. And so he's thinking that, oh, maybe Sayyid wants him to go pick up something for him, move something for him. So Sayyid told him, he says, wake up. He says, wake up for Salatul Layl. He said, at that point, his face changed. He was like, Salatul Layl? He's like, Sayyid, ask me something else. He was like, Salatul. He said, unfortunately, I don't even make my salat. I don't make the regular salat. He was like, I was hoping you're going to ask me to do something else, some physical work. I'll do that. You're asking me to make Salatul Layl? He was like, and I don't even make my Fajr, nor Dhuhr, nor Asr. He said, I don't do these things. Then Sayyid Qadi, he says, you said you'll do anything that I ask. He said, yeah. He said, so wake up for Salatul Layl. So he was like, I don't know, I'll try. I don't have the habit to wake up. And Sayyid Qadi, he says, don't worry. I'll make sure you get up. And then Sayyid Qadi, he didn't leave from his house, but he had his ways. And so this individual, he mentions, he says that night, roughly about half an hour or so before the Adhan al-Fajr, he woke up. It's almost, he heard someone call him, almost as someone even tapped him on the shoulder, wake up, wake up. And so he woke up. And so when he woke up, he was like, oh, yeah, I told the Sayyid I would wake up. And I guess he said he would wake me up too. And he looked around and was like, but he's not here. But anyway, whatever it was, I got up. So he walked towards outside in his courtyard, he says, to make wudu. He said, but as he turned on the water, his hand begins to shake. And he was like, what happened? That I'm a person that doesn't even make my salat. That at this time I'm up before even the Fajr comes out. Before even the time of Fajr. To pray, to remember Allah. As I said. From that day forward, this individual, he began not only to make his Salatul Layl, to make up his qadha for all of those salats, and he became someone who was committed to his salat. Someone that Sayyid Qadi Tabatabai took under his wing. This is the barakah of Fajr, of that sahar. That it changed the heart of such an individual. The barakah and the blessing that we ask Allah that, oh, teach me, what is the barakah of sahar, this early morning? Again, just simply look at some of the du'as. We have many du'as. Go to Mafatihul Janan and look at the du'as of the morning, especially in the month of Ramadan. Du'a Sahara of Imam Baqir alayhi afsalatu wasalam. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-baqa. Beautiful dua. And where some of the ulama, they said that when you read this dua, it says one of the points that is made there, yes, we ask for our hajat. They say more important than that, all of those names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is meant to embody, is meant for us to embody those names, to try to acquire these qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the main point of that dua baha. Dua is recited in the early morning. Dua Abu Hamza Thamali. This dua was recited in the morning. This is a dua that Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, according to some, that after his Salatul Layl, before the Fajr came in, he made this dua. Very beautiful dua. Again, subhanAllah, I think our reciters for Dua Kamel, again, that one part that was emphasized, Ya Rab, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. Dua Abu Hamza Thamali, the Ya Rab is, subhanAllah, it's like nothing else. That you recite, Rab, Ya Rab, Ya Rab, until your breath ends. Dua Abu Hamza Thamali, again, even if we just take even points from that dua, to take and recite in our qunut, Allahumma qbal min yasir. To Allah, that little are my actions. And I ask you, Ya Allah, to accept this little actions from myself. Wa'fu anni al-kathir. And the many mistakes I made, then Ya Allah, I ask you to forgive them. Innaka anta rahimul ghafoor. This is one of the, just a part of that dua of Abu Hamza Thamali. Even if we took that, even if we simply recited that in the morning, before Fajr. That, oh Allah, that what little good I do, please accept it. And what abundant bad that I do, please forgive me for that. Or this dua, or actually salawat. The salawat of Sahar. The early morning salawat on Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And this salawat is not specific for the days of Ramadan. It is a salawat in the morning that is made on the eve of Jummah. So, for example, right before the Fajr comes, tomorrow morning, before the Jummah of Friday. So it's the night, because that's what the Sahar is connecting the night and that morning, the Fajr. So this is a salawat that is recommended by Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wassalam. We're not going to read the whole thing. Inshallah, go and find it. It's in Mafatul Janan. Inshallah, especially for those of you who are taking tonight as the night of Qadr, you won't find it as one of the, this is written as one of the a'mals of the Laylatul Qadr, but because it is the Laylatul Jum'ah, it is a night of Jummah, Shabi Jum'ah, then recite this in the morning, the salawat. But I just want to recite the last part of it, and subhanAllah. It'll help us, again, go into that next section where we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enlighten our hearts. We ask in there, صل على محمد وآله ولا تجعل الشيطان على قلبي سبيلا. Subhanallah. ولا للباطل على عملي دليلا. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give His blessings and salutations upon Muhammad wa Ali. Again, as we all say, whenever we want to make a dua that is accepted, what do? We begin with salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, and we end with salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is one of the keys of the du'as of Imam Zain al-Abidin as well in the Sayfatul Sajadiyya. If you look at how many salawats that Imam Zain al-Abidin gives in his du'as throughout Sayfatul Sajadiyya. This salawat says that give salutation and don't allow shaitan, or don't give him a opening or way into my aql. لا تجعل للشيطان على عقلي سبيلا. Don't give him way into my thoughts. Or don't make him a guide to my actions. I told you what Amli Hafidhullah. He has a very beautiful explanation of, again, when we say that we are trying to do self-purification. And so, some mention 3 stages that, yes, first of all, you wake up, you understand what you need to do. Then you begin to remove your bad deeds, your shortcomings, and you begin to try to take on better deeds and akhlaq. And he's like, that's people, they're still at the beginning of the way. He says, at that point in which you truly begin to be on that path of irfan and the spiritual elevation, he says, that's the moment when you actually control what's going through your mind. What are you thinking? That, he says, at one point you could perhaps control your actions that, I'm not going towards this thing which is haram or which is wrong, but then are your thoughts going to those things? Or is your thoughts connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is one of the beautiful things. We know Sayyid Radi, correct? Who is Sayyid Radi? Nahju Balagha. He's the one who compounded Nahju Balagha. His older brother, Sayyid Murtada. So when their father passed away, again, normally the books, of course, after the inheritance is divided, within the ahkam, it says the books go to the eldest son. It's not considered as an inheritance. It's like kind of this part that's a gift. The books go to the eldest son. So it would go to Sayyid Murtada. But Sayyid Murtada, he told his brother, he said, Sayyid Radi? He says, no. And they were both ulama. Both scholars, high caliber scholars. So Sayyid Murtada, his brother, take our father's books. They should be with you. Sayyid Uradi said, he says, no, they should be with you based on the ahkam. You're the oldest brother. And Sayyid Murtada, he says, no, you're more pious than I am. That your taqwa is higher than. And then Sayyid Uradi, he said, no, your taqwa is, if not equal, better than mine. What? Much better than mine. You've never done anything wrong. And Sayyid Murtada, he was like, but brother, so yeah, maybe I didn't do anything wrong. He says, but you've never thought of anything that's wrong, so you take the books. That even your thoughts are not thoughts that are going this way or that way. And subhanAllah, this is the salawat of the night of Jummah. That, oh Allah, la taj'al shaytani ala aqli sabila. Don't give him any inroad to even my thoughts, that what I'm thinking and how am I thinking. And this segues into this point where we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the 18th day of the blessed month of Ramadan, Nawwir qalbi, that Allah, Nawwir fihi qalbi, that give light to my heart. That nur that is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it is in your heart, your understanding, your mind, your perception, then where would shaitan have a sabil? Where would he be at? And if we look at even beautiful hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, yes, that everyone has their shaitan with them that's trying to misguide them. Someone asks Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, do you have a shaitan too who's coming? He says, yes, but aslamtu shaitani. I made my shaitan Muslim. He submits. How do you make him submit? You don't give him an inroad to your thoughts, your thought process. That if you're in the path that, oh, hey, should I do this or do that? It should be a no-brainer, as we say in English, that, oh, this is right, this is what Allah wants, it's a no-brainer. I don't even have to even think, no-brainer. This is what Allah loves, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, that's the path that I'm taking. But brothers and sisters, it's not an easy path. It's not easy to gain that. Nights of Qadr, the nights of Ramadan, the mornings, the Sahar, it's those moments in which we ask for that. Because without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, we won't be able to do that. Without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, helping us, we won't be able to. But we have to take that step. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make effort, and then, inshallah, that will happen. And that's why we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that day, that if you read the entire dua, that Allah enlighten my heart and allow every limb of my body to be affected by that light, and enlighten Ya Munawwir Qulub al-Arifin. But it means that we have to make that effort. And one of the beautiful ways that make that effort, so I'll tell you, Ayatollah Iraqi, he gave very beautiful advice. Rahmatullah alayh. And, mashallah, we were fortunate to see Ayatollah Iraqi. This is one of the teachers of Imam Khomeini. Very elderly, actually, when we reached the Qom. He was probably 114 or so when we first met him. But Ayatollah Iraqi, and he used to give very beautiful advice. He said one individual came and he asked Ayatollah Iraqi for some advice. So Ayatollah Iraqi was like, what do you do? What is your work? He said, I'm a carpenter. So he's like, oh, you build things. So Ayatollah Iraqi, he says, this is my advice to you. He says, since you build things, he says, build a door for your heart. He says, build a door for your heart. In other words, don't let any and everything into your heart. Don't let any and everything into your mind. Some things are not even worth even spending time on or memorizing. This just came to mind, a great example, a beautiful example of this, and this is Ansariyan. Some of you probably know he used to publish a lot of books in English. So Allama Tabatabai, he knew Allama Tabatabai. And once they were invited to a gathering, I believe it was in Ramadan Iftar or something, and they were walking together in the streets of Qom to find this place. So he said as they were walking, Allama Tabatabai kept asking him, he was, what is the address? And so, that's our answer. So I'll tell him the address. We walk some more and try to look. Then Allama Tabatabai, after a few minutes, was like, what is the address? And Saryan was like, he was saying this like, SubhanAllah, it was like you're Allama Tabatabai, this alim, this great scholar. He was like, how come you didn't remember the address? So Allama Tabatabai, he says, memorizing that address, he says, it's not worth using brain cells to do that. He says, if it was Qur'an, if it was a hadith of the Prophet or Ahlul Bayt, yes. He says, I will use it, I will memorize it. He says, but it's an address. He was like, write it down. If you don't remember, I'll keep looking at it. But he was like, I don't need to use that much brain power to memorize this. He says, what's the value of memorizing that? And this is what I told her. I said, put a door to your heart. That is everything worth reading, looking at, memorizing? Or do you memorize those things which have value in memorizing and learning and understanding? I'll end with this very beautiful hadith before we begin to mourn for Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that is a beautiful hadith in the expression that I told Jawhar al-Amli Hafadhullah he gave. Because subhanallah, that the mornings, especially asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those mornings to enlighten our hearts, to open that path. The hadith is from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where the Prophet, he said, قلب المؤمن بين إصبعين من أصابع الرحمن. He says the heart of the mu'min is between, إصبعين is two fingers. It's between the two fingers among the fingers of Ar-Rahman. So the two fingers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a beautiful reflection on this. That why is the heart of the believer between the two fingers of Ar-Rahman? Why? Because in order to change our hearts, to have that change of heart, just like that student of Sayyid Qadi, who didn't pay attention to his salat, this and that. Changing the heart is a very delicate matter. It's very delicate. Just like anyone who does a heart surgeon, the heart surgeon is not like any other surgeon. If his hands are shaking or something, yes, he's not going to operate. Why? Because he's dealing with a very delicate part of the body. Just like the qalb, whether it's our actual heart or our intellect, that ruh that is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a very delicate thing. Because anything that you change, if you're changing the heart, you're changing the mind, you're changing the ruh, anything that you do, and pay attention to this. There's a hadith that says, Yadullahi ala jama'ah. Isn't that? The hand of Allah, meaning the entire hand of Allah, not two fingers. And what is Yadullahi ala jama'ah? It's showing power. Power. It takes power. It takes a lot of effort to keep a group together. But when it comes to heart, changing your heart, you need something delicate. And any work that is delicate and fine, you use your fingers. Someone is painting a picture, what does he do? He's using his fingers. Those who do calligraphy, they don't do it with the fingers. It's a delicate matter. So the heart of the believer is between the two fingers of Ar-Rahman, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So truly, if you want to have that change of heart, to really, truly connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that route, as we pray in that dua, is to ask Allah, Nawwir qalbi, enlighten my heart. To change that heart, and again, subhanallah, we are blessed as followers of Ahlul Bayt, that the du'as we have, if you truly listen to the du'as, you truly understand the du'as, one of the effects of that du'a is that it will change your heart. Then on top of that, and the nights like these, that we are to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have the blessing to also to change our hearts as we mourn, as we weep, as our hearts break. And it was not only us who our hearts would break for Amir al-Mu'mineen. Rasulullah, he cried for Amir al-Mu'mineen. Fatima Zahra, she cried for Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, they all cried for Amir al-Mu'mineen. السلام عليك السلام عليك يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك أيها الشهيد يا أبا الشهداء. Peace and salutations be upon you. Ya Abu al-Hasan, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, O Commander of the Faithful. Peace and salutations be upon you, O Shaheed. O Father of the Shuhada, They said in the night like this, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was approaching his final moments of life. And he would make his final prayer in the Masjed of Kufa. On this night, he was a guest of his daughter, Kulthum. But if you have daughters, you would know that how much daughters, how empathetic they are. That if you're invited to her house and you only eat a little, she's going to ask, "Oh, Baba, ya pidara cheesy that what happened to you, father? That you're not eating." They said Amir al-Mu'mineen in this night, he ate very little for his iftar. If you had a daughter, you would know that had you placed your hand on your head, as Amir al-Mu'mineen he did in this night, while he sat at the table with Zainab, that he was thinking and wondering that, yes, tomorrow's that day that he's promised. But Kulthum, she asked her father, "Is your head troubling you? What is wrong, oh my father?" If you are Kulthum, what that daughter she would ask when she sees her father going in and out of the house throughout the whole night, that he's looking at the sky, saying, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." She said, "Oh my father, that what is troubling you, what is on your mind?" Finally, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he answered. He said, "Oh my daughter, this is the night that my Habibi Rasulullah, that he has promised to me that in these nights I will return to Allah. That this is a night that in the morning he will go and he will be struck in the head. But look where he will be struck, when he will be struck. They said he will be struck while he's making salat. But wasn't it that Amir al-Mu'mineen, as Rasulullah, he stated that Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he's making salat, he doesn't know anything but Allah. He's connected only to Allah in his salat. They said when Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he had the arrow in his leg and they wanted to take the arrow out, it was painful for Amir al-Mu'mineen. But the Rasulullah, he says, wait until Amir al-Mu'mineen, wait until he makes salat. Because at that point, he won't feel anything. He's connected to Allah. Ibn al-Muljam al-A'i struck him while he was in the salat. But did Amir al-Mu'mineen, was he fazed by that? Or did he say, Fuztu wa Rabbi al-Ka'aba, that he was successful? So that blow to Amir al-Mu'mineen, that was not the blow that really hurt Amir al-Mu'mineen. That if you want to know the blow that hurt Amir al-Mu'mineen, this was the blow that hit Fatima when she was between the door and the wall. That blow that hit Amir al-Mu'mineen, that affected his heart, that made him sad and weeping. This was the moment when Amir al-Mu'mineen, he took the body of Fatima to Zahra and placed her in the grave. How do we know this? They said that Amir al-Mu'mineen, after placing the body of Fatima to Zahra in her grave, he said this poem: نفسي على زفرات محبوسة يا ليتها خرجت مع زفرات لا خير بعدك في الحياة وإنما أبكي مخافة أن تطول حياتي. He said, oh my soul, he said, my soul is trapped in this world, and my soul is trapped in lament. With each wail I wish to end this torment, for there's no joy that remains in this life after you, Ya Zahra. My tears flow in dread for life's continual vigor. Imam Ali, he stated as he placed the body as پیکر مبارک فاطمه زهرا وقتی توی قبر گذاشته امیر المؤمنین ایشون گفت روحی من اسیر است در این دنیا ای زهرا ای کاش من هم از این دنیا رفتم ای زهرا. من دارم گریه میکنم و کن گریه میکنم چون من میمونم یا فاطمه بعد شما و هیچ خوبی و خوشی دیگه دنیا لذت نداره بدون شما یا فاطمه زهرا. This was the pain of Amir al-Mu'mineen that he felt after burying Fatima Zahra, but that pain you may think that he felt in being struck by the dagger of Ibn al-Muljam. He says, no, fuztu wa rabbil Kaaba, I've been successful, that I was born in the Baytullah, and I now am dying and going back to Allah in the Baytullah. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyum munqalibin yanqalibun. اللهم لعن قتلة أمير المؤمنين وأسأل الله أن يغفر ذنوبنا ويتوب علينا ويعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه وتحت لوائه بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين. Inshallah, and quickly we will do the a'mal of the Qur'an. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Okay. So inshallah we'll start with the first a'mal of the Qur'an on the night of Qadr. And we should have the Qur'an and hold it in front of us. You can open it to any page and we will recite this dua that is recommended. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك بكتابك المنزل وما وفيه اسمك الأكبر وأسماؤك الحسنى وما يخاف ويرجى أن تجعلني من أتقائك من النار. Inshallah. From here we should ask for our hajat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please do not forget the mu'min and mu'minat who are suffering from injustice and oppression. And particularly ask for the hastened reappearance of Imam Zaman al-Jafar al-Sharif. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تقبل أعمالكم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your du'as. Next we will place the Qur'an upon our heads. I said we will recite this du'a. Inshallah, the Quran is not simply physically upon our heads, but it penetrates our minds, our thoughts. We place this Quran upon our heads in submission to Allah. Unlike those who place the Quran upon the spears and the battle of Safin as they stood against Amir al-Mu'mineen. Those who in Karbala, they placed the Quran on Natik. They placed the spoken Quran, which was the head of Mubarak, the Mubarak head of Imam Hussein upon the spear. They all lined this night. We place the Quran upon our heads and we make dua to you. We make dua that this Quran penetrates our hearts and our minds and our bodies and our soul. That is not simply sitting upon our heads, taking up space. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم بحق هذا القرآن وبحق من أرسلته به وبحق كل مؤمن مددته فيه وبحقك عليهم بحق فلا أحد أعرف بحقك آمين. بك يا الله 10 times. بك يا الله 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 بك يا الله. And by the sign of your mercy, Muhammad, بمحمد 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 بمحمد. And by the right of the one who was struck in your masjid in this night, Ya Allah, بعلي 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 بعلي. By the right of the daughter of Rasulullah, the name of Fatima means that she has separated her Shia from the hellfire. بفاطمة 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 بفاطمة. And by the Kareem of Ahl al-Bayt, بالحسن 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 بالحسن. And by the Shaheed of Karbala, the one who sacrificed everything for you, O Allah. Bil Hussein, Bil Hussein, Bil Hussein, Bil Hussein, Bil Hussein. بالحسين 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 بالحسين. And by the one with the most beautiful ibadah, بعلي بن الحسين 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 بعلي بن الحسين. By the one who knows, the one who has gone to the depths of knowledge. بمحمد بن علي 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 بمحمد بن علي. By your truthful and the Imam of our madhab, بجعفر بن محمد 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 by the one who held his finger, although he was in prison for a lot of his life. بموسى بن جعفر 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 بعلي بموسى بن جعفر بموسى بن جعفر بموسى بن جعفر and by غريب الغرباء Ya Ali ibn Musa Ridha, how I miss those days when we used to make ziyarat in your haram. All of the karamat and miracles we've seen in your haram, Ya Ali ibn Musa Ridha, by the right of Gharib al-Ghuraba. بعلي ابن موسى 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 And by the right of Imam Jawad, this is Babul Hawa'ij. It's said in the Rawayat that if there's anything that you need, then you should ask Imam Jawad. He represents the Jud and the Karamat and the generosity of Allah. بمحمد بن علي 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 by Imam al-Taqi, the Imam of our grandfather for our master of the time. بعلي بن محمد 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 by the right of Imam al-Askari, the father of our master of the time. بالحسن بن علي 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 And by the right of the Imam of our time, if there's any barakah that will be upon us in these nights, it's by the right of the Imam of our time. If any of our du'as are answered in these nights, Ya Imam Hujjah, Ya Imam Zaman, it's by the barakat of you making du'a for us. So we ask you, Ya Mawla, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Imam al-Hujjah, that remember us in these nights, that we all have needs. We all have wants, Ya Imam Sama. Remember us as you pray to Allah, as the angels descend upon you in these nights, to bring our destinies forth. بالحجة 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 بالحجة. Allah, we ask you by your rights and the rights of the Ahlul Bayt of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad to answer our requests, to answer our du'as in this night. So now let us all ask for our needs and our hawa'ij. But don't forget the hawa'ij and needs of the other believers, mu'mineen and mu'minat. They say when you pray for others, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers your du'as. When we pray for those who are oppressed and mazloom, those who are nighaza, those who can even have a proper iftar or even suhoor in this blessed month of Ramadan, pray for them, those mazloom. And by praying for them, may Allah He answer our du'as and our needs. Inshallah, we have many needs. We have many wants. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer those. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, نور قلوبنا, نور قلوبنا. But we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most important for the hastened reappearance of Imam al-Zaman. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. تقبل أعمالكم.
Brothers and sisters, Salaam alaikum. May Allah accept your prayers, inshallah, and you get all the best tonight. We're gonna start Dua Hamza, inshallah. Dua Hamza Somali is gonna take about 20 minutes. Please stay with us and get the riff of it. Thank you so much. Please recite last salawat. Allah.
خوبه خوبه نه خوبه نه دست بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. نگاه منتظران را ببین و باور کن، ز جام خواهش این دست ها لبی تر کن. بیا بیا گل زهرا، بیا بیا گل نرگس، ز عطر بودنت این خانه را معطر کن. اگر چه زندگی بی تو گشته تقدیرم، ولی تو قدر مرا با خودت مقدر کن. یا صاحب الزمان، شب قدر دلها متوجه شماست آقا. به مصحفی که روی سر نهاده ای سوگند، اینجوری با آقا حرف بزنیم. به مصحفی که روی سر نهاده ای سوگند، از این سقدر شبی را میان ما سر کن. بیا و لطف کن از آب و نان افطارت، برای سفره ما جیره مقدر کن. یا ایها العزیز مسنا و اهلنا الزور، فجئنا بوزات مزجور، فاقبلنا الكيل صدق بده به من آقا. اولای من سفره ماه رمضانم داره جمع میشه و من هنوز حتی به ابتدای راهم نرسیدم. فتصدق علینا، ببین هنوز زمان ماندم بگذار. راه کوتاه من و شما رحمت الله الواسع. حسین کمی حسین بگر بگویم، مرا مطهر کن. دلم میان دوراهی کربلا و نجف است، مرا کبوتر ایوان طلای حیدر کن. یا صاحب الزمان زمان یا صاحب بچه مجلس دیگه خیلی خودمونی شد صداش بزن یا صاحب زمان یا صاحب زمان خود مولا هم امشب میگفت ای تیر امشب ای تیغ امشب نجات بخش حیدر بوده ای والله از تیر زبان خلق بهتر بوده ای با آنکه شکافتی سرم را الحق 100 مرتبه مهربان تر از در بوده بازم صداش بزن یا صاحب استغفر الله الذي لا اله الا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذي الجلال والإكرام من جميع الظلم والجرم وإسرافي على نفسي وأتوب إليه اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترزت على عبادك فيه الصيام صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام اما حرف من شما امشب یه چیز دیگه است وارزقنی زیارت قبر الحسین اغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك بام بعلي إلهي على فلاهي على إلهي لا تعذبني بعقوبتك همین اول دعا خدایا منو نزن ولا تمكر بي في حيلتك من أين لي الخير يا رب ولا يوجد إلا من عندك ومن أين لي النجاة ولا تستطاع إلا بك للذي استحسن استغنى عن عونك ورحمتك وللذي أساء واجترأ عليك ولم يرزك خرجا قدرتك جای دعا دستور دادن تا نفس تمام میشه صدا بزن یا رب یا رب یا رب بك عرفتك وأنت دللتني عليك ودعوتني إليك ولولا أنت لم أدر ما أنت الحمد لله الذي عدو فيجيبني وإن كنت بتيئا حين يدوني والحمد لله الذي أسأله فيؤتيني وإن كنت بخيلا حين يستغرضني والحمد لله الذي أناديه كلما شئت لحاجتي وأخلو به حيث شئت لسري بغير شفيع فيقضي لي حاجتي الحمد لله الذي لا أدعو غيره ولو دعوت غيره لم يستجب لي دعائي والحمد لله الذي لا أرجو غيره ولو رجعت غيره لأخلف رجائي والحمد لله الذي وكلني إليه فأكرمني ولم يكلني إلى الناس فيهينوني والحمد لله الذي تحبب إلي وهو غني عني والحمد لله الذي يحلم عني كأني لا ذنب لي فربي أحمد شيء عندي وأحق بحمدي اللهم إني أجد سبل المطالب إليك مشرعا ومناهل الرجاء إليك مترعا والاستعانة بفضلك لمن أملك مباها وأبواب الدعاء إليك للصارخين مفتوحا وأعلم أنك للراجين بموضع إجابة وللملهوفين بمرصد إغاثة وأن في اللهف إلى جودك والرضا بقضائك بزم
من الباخلين ومندوحة لما في أيدي المستأثرين وأن الراحل إليك قريب المسافة وأنك لا تحتجب عن خلقك إلا أن تحجبهم الأعمال دونك وقد قصدت إليك بطلبتي وتوجهت إليك بحاجتي وجعلت بك استغاثتي وبدعائك تبسلي من غير استحقاق لاستماعك مني ولا استجاب لعفوك عني بل ثقتي بكرمك وسكوني إلى صدق وعدك ولجئي إلى الإيمان بتوحيدك ويقيني بمعرفتك مني ألا رب لي غيرك ولا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك.
ادامه هست بدیم یا تمام؟ میخواد ادامه بدیم نمیخواد؟ باشه.
اللهم أنت القائل وقولك حق وبعدك السر واسأل الله من فضله إن الله كان بكم رحيما وليس من صفاتك يا سيدي أن تأمر بالسؤال وتمنع الأتية وأنت المنان بالعطيات على أهل مملكتك والعائد عليهم بتحنن رأفتك إلهي ربيتني في نعمك وإحسانك صغيرا ونبهت باسمي كبيرا فيا من رباني في الدنيا بإحساني وتفضلي ونعمه وأشار لي في الآخرة إلى عفوه وكرمه معرفتي يا مولاي دليلي عليك وحبي لك شفيع إليك وأنا واثق من دليلي بدلالتك وساكن من شفيعي إلى شفاعتك أدعوك يا سيدي بلسان قد أخرسه ذنبه خدایا دارم با یه زبانی باید حرف میزنم که گناه لالش کرده رب اناجی که به قلب قد اوبقه جرمه تا تاریکی گناه همه وجودم و به هلاکت رسونده. ادعو که یا رب راهیا راغبا راجیا خائفا اذا رأيت مولاي ذنوبي فزعت وإذا رأيت كرمك طمعت فإن فوت فخير راه. از تو مهربان‌تر تو عالم پیدا نمیشه. اگه بخوای منم عذاب کنی ظلمی مرتکب نشدی. حجتی یا الله، پس برای چی اومدی داری ازش درخواست میکنی؟ چجوری جرأت پیدا کردی؟ الا مسألتك ما اتیانی ما تکره جودك و کرمک مودتی فی شدتی ما قلت عیایی. فقط رعفت و رحمت تو منو اینجا کشونده. رعفت که و رحمت که وقد رجوت الله تخیب بین زین و زین منیتی. فحقق رجای منو نامیدم نکن. واسمع دایی حرف منو بشنو خدا. یا خیر من دعاه دا و افضل من رجاه روش. از من یا سیدی امنی و ساء امنی. دست خالی اومدم. فأتني من عفوك بمقدار عملي ولا تؤاخذني بأسوأ عملي. فإن كرمك يجل عن مجازات المذنبين وحلمك يكبر عن مكافات المقصرين. وأنا يا سيدي آئذ بفضلك هارب منك إلي متنجز ما وأتسى من السف عمن أحسن بك ظنا. وما لي يا رب وما خطري. ازل ملکیم میخوای منو عذابم کنی. ازل من تو دستگاه ازلن به حسابم نمیام. حبنی بفضلك و تصدق علی بعفوك. ای رب جللی بسترك واعف عن توبيخي بكرم وجهك. فلم اطلع اليوم على ذنبي غيرك ما فعلت ولو خفت تعجيل العقوبة لاجتنيت. لا لأنك أهون الناظرين إلي. نمیدونستم ناظر اعمال منی، نه این که توانایی تو را دست کم بگیرم. برا چی گناه کردی؟ و اخف المطلعین علی بل انک یا رب خیر الساترین و احکم الحاکمین و اکرم الاکرمین. همه با هم ستارون صلوات خیر.